Hello, hello, hello.
Hi,
Happy
we're
Friday.
live.
We're live again.
We're live
The
again.
Friday show.
We love going
Oops.
live.
Shoot, I forgot to I forgot to change this. There we go.
Smarty Plants Weekly Meal Plan Review. Oh, that's the name of our new show. I like that.
There you go.
Okay, we did explain on our live show. I'm getting our lives all mixed up. That was Tuesday, right? We did
Yeah,
explain that this show is now going to just be a meal plan review for our
correct.
meal planners and anyone else who wants to listen in.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean I hope other people do. We put it on all the platforms. I mean the idea is just to show what we're putting in the plan. So if you're not in the plan, you can always see and come hear our witty banter anyway, right?
And like we said, we're going to try to keep this short. We don't know if that's going to happen.
Show's gonna run between 30 and 60 minutes.
Oh, well, we only have 3 recipes. You think we could get through them a little bit quicker?
Yeah, this will be I'm sure it'll be a quick show.
I'm sure. Yeah, I've been spending my whole day editing the podcast, and woo, we do like to talk. It's good though. We have a
Yes.
lot to say, and I like that. I mean, I really think people are going to like it because I just feel like getting to know us a little bit. It makes people like just trust you more, and they feel like they kind of know you, they trust you, and then they hear about whatever we're talking about in our lives in the plant-based world. It's just a little, it's a little deeper. It's a little bit more of us. Where I just always like that. Like we talked about the other day, other meal plans that I followed just seemed kind of sterile. And there were no people behind it. I mean, there were, but I didn't know them. There were no faces behind it. And I just
No,
feel like, that's the part of our grand plan is to like, I want to get to know people. I want to get to
no,
know people in our group and I want to interact with people. We
right.
don't want to be the sterile company who's hands off. Cause like
No.
for us, that's the fun part.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
I-
Well, it's interesting just because throughout this last year, just having talked to people, getting to know people, people that have come and gone, and people that have come and stayed, and people that pop back
yeah,
on. It's like, oh, we just saw Sarah just popped back on from
I
the
know. I
Kickstart
love
group
that.
4 months ago, or whatever it is. So
I
it's always
love
fun.
that.
Like, do
And
you
some of
remember
our
so?
very originals, they will pop up every once in a while, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, where have you been? I mean, they're there. But people just don't post, or I mean, we know we have meal planners. We just don't see a lot of
no,
activity from a lot of them. But we know they're there, so I like seeing them pop up every once in a while.
sure, yeah.
So
So.
go
Mhm.
ahead.
So, well, I was going to say, as Jude mentioned, we did Tuesday we did a live, and we just announced the podcast. So we're super excited about that. Right now, it's kind of what I guess would call pre-launch. We do have
Yeah,
we have a little intro up, just so people can go and subscribe. So we wanted to get some subscribers before the show launched, just so we're kind of launching to a little bit of a crowd. So if you haven't gone and done that, we appreciate you if you go subscribe. We currently have the podcast at Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. Just got accepted at iHeartRadio.
oh
And
good.
then I did submit it to Google, but as as one of the people in the group had pointed out, it's still not up yet. I don't know. It's funny because like after she had said that, I had gone back and looked, and it said, yeah, it usually takes. It says it takes a few days to get go live. So I'm like, okay, no problem.
Oh.
I did it on Monday, so I'm like, well, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for sure. And then she had come back and said, still not there. So then I went back and looked, and it says like troubleshooting, and I read the whole troubleshooting thing just in case. And that
Mhm.
says it could take up to 6 days. So I was like, oh, a
Oh,
few days went to 6 days all of a sudden.
I was
Just
wondering why you wrote to come. I was thinking,
yeah,
oh, we must
right.
be
So I'm
waiting to
like,
get in. Yeah.
yeah, so so now it's like, all right, well, that would be this Sunday. So if it doesn't get uploaded by Sunday, then there might be a bigger problem. But whatever. I mean, I submitted it. It worked with every other place, so I don't know what the issue would be. There's no edgy content or anything like that. It's an intro to a plant based podcast.
Censorship. Oh, speaking of that, I was wondering about that. Can we say anything we want on the podcast? I was just wondering because, like, there has to be I don't know. I'm just wondering if there's anything. I mean, I know you can swear and stuff. I'm not talking about that, but like,
Oh,
I don't know.
good.
We could talk. We could talk about. We can talk about
Really
this
like
later.
that.
We don't have to
Really
talk about this live.
get some
But yeah, I wonder.
expletives going. Talking about plant-based food.
Maybe we should learn about podcast etiquette before we get rolling here.
Well, I mean, I think that's part of it. You can pretty much do whatever you want. I'm sure the
Yeah.
platforms. I mean, not that we ever would. I'm sure if there's some sort of hate speech or violence or
Yeah.
things like that, of course, free speech only goes so far before it turns into dangerous behavior. But yeah, I'm sure there's probably different platforms that have different rules, but in the end, I mean, I don't ever see us getting to the point where it's like, oh, we got pulled off of Apple because we're talking about food.
We got pulled off the air.
Yeah, I don't think anything's ever going to be that edgy, so I think we'll be all right.
Okay. Yeah, it just hit me like, you'll know why we're dark. Yeah, because sometimes, because it's a different medium and we're just talking, and sometimes you forget. Like right now, you and I are just talking, and we're not really censoring what we're saying. So I just had this thought. I know that really mouth of yours. But not just swearing. I just, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, I think it's okay. I think it's
what
free.
What is it that you want to say?
I don't know. I'm dying to get this out.
Holy smokes. Now I'm curious. Don't say it on here. You can't get kicked off a restream.
He's got his finger on the button.
I got the dump button.
She's going dark.
It's the Phill Show. The new.
Where's Judi? We really liked her. Poof, she's gone.
I'm sure we'll be okay. But if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to one of these podcasts. Subscribe now. We do have a contest going, or a giveaway going on too, that we announced. So if you do subscribe, you can come to our private Facebook group. Let me see. I think I still have yep. You can come to the private Facebook group. That I have a podcast thread going on, and just write "I subscribed," and then we're going to give away some memberships to the weekly meal plan or the 28-day a month, the weekly meal plan, or the 28-day Kickstart as well. So appreciate it. If not, you could just subscribe, and we appreciate that as well. People, yeah. I'm going to actually make a post. I know I made a post on my personal Facebook page, but and I don't want to get too into it. But you never really realize how much help you can do. Like I have a lot of friends that have small businesses, realty businesses or artists, or my buddy's got a frame shop, whatever it is. And it's just all those little things. It's all the likes and the shares and the comments, and Facebook sees all that interactivity and helps you out when that happens. It shows your message to more people, or it boosts your post. It does a lot more. But even with the subscribing is huge for us, because obviously more people that subscribe, the algorithms show, hey, a bunch of people are subscribing to this. This must be an important show. And it kind of helps boost that. So even if people aren't listening, if you can subscribe, that's great. If you can like our posts and share our posts. I saw about three people shared my personal one today, which was awesome. Wow. Yeah, it was great to see.
That's awesome. I love that.
And two of them were plant-based people, and one was just a friend helping out. So that was awesome.
They're getting a bag of soy curls. Do you have any left?
I don't. We gave away.
Dang. Get Butler on the phone.
But all that stuff is super important. So if you can, it's free. This is free. It helps support us, keeps us going. More stuff to come, hopefully after the podcast. But it's super important. So subscribe away, any of those podcast places.
Yeah, that would really help us out. And it's like you said, it's free. It just takes a second, and it just helps tremendously. I didn't really realize that. I personally am going to be diligent about doing this for other people, because it is so easy to just let it slip. Like you hear someone say, "Oh, please go and subscribe," and it kind of goes in one ear and out the other. Like it's just a little thing, but just that little thing, it adds up, and it really makes a difference for podcasts. So now
I do it. I like a lot of stuff like that. I like people's pages. I follow people's pages. I also like when they post, whether they're because I also see little ads for friends too. And it's like, okay, great. I'm going to like that or comment, because again, it adds a little bit more legitimacy to the ads or to the posts as well. So it takes 2 seconds too. It's just like, all right, help out a friend, help someone else, another small business out.
I know, it's so true.
You can always use it. All righty. So yeah, that's all I got here. We'll get right to the meals. Let me whoops.
So this week we have our Italian comfort foods, which this type of food is what we grew up eating as kids and, still love to this day. I mean, it's kind of in our blood, this type of food. It's just, real rustic kind of cooking. No, there were no recipes. It was just kind of all the same flavors, garlic, basil, cheese. Now we use nut cheese, tomatoes,
Olive
all that
oil.
stuff, breadcrumbs, pasta. What'd you say?
Olive oil.
Can't hear you with these earbuds in. I need to wear earbuds now. Technical reasons. Yeah, olive oil, all that stuff. But all these same flavors just used in different ways is how we grew up. And we love all these flavors. And that's why we're recreating them. So this food is like the really fun food for Phil and I. Actually, it's all fun. Even new cuisines are really fun for me.
Yeah.
But this stuff is exciting because when you get that taste of something like lasagna that you haven't had in a long time. Somebody recently said that to me. You brought lasagna back to my life. That's
Right.
exactly what we're trying to do here. We want to bring lasagna back to your life. And it tastes so delicious. Go ahead.
And I was going to say that was
Yeah.
one of the things when I mean it was like right when I went plant based, it was just like, yeah, there goes lasagna. There, there goes
I know. I heard it all.
I mean, it was kind of depressing. Like, I mean,
Yeah, it is. It's like you're grieving something.
I
Right.
did because it was,
Yeah.
I really didn't know. It was just like, all right. And I mean, the food that I was eating was great. I mean, for that month, but there's just so many of these meals that we've had and I've had my
Mm-hmm.
whole life where it's just like, all right, well, because people always say, you're never going to have a hamburger again. You're never going to have a steak
I
again. So that
know.
gets in your head. It's like, I'm never going to have lasagna again. I'm never going to have, stuff
Never
like
again. I can't take it.
that. So yeah, it is
Well,
exciting when
yeah.
these come out, when they come
It's
out,
just
when they work out.
these favorite foods that you grew up with your whole life. I mean, it is kind of sad. I mean, imagine if someone said you could never have another brownie. We make delicious brownies, so they taste to me just the same. I mean, it's like it's things like that. Like I don't want to never have another brownie. I don't want to never have this or that. And especially these family favorites. So this is pesto lasagna rolls. So lasagna, we never really had these rolls. We just always had lasagna, and lasagna to us was like a special. Mom didn't make it like much
Holidays
during the
usually.
year. Yeah,
Yeah.
mostly like Christmas for sure. Maybe Easter.
Yeah.
Maybe Easter with the ham. I can't really remember, but yeah. So lasagna was like a special Sunday holiday, really like rich, delicious meal. Um, but this, if you've made, just like we were talking about last week, like using our components, this uses the tofu ricotta. If Carol Ariana's listening, she's gonna laugh at me because we don't call it ricotta, we call it ricotta. It sounds so strange saying ricotta. So the tofu ricotta and
After
the
making fun
basil.
of people that said it that way all our
No,
lives,
I know we did.
now we're those people.
It just sounded so funny to hear it being said like that. So that and the basil pesto, if you've already tried either one of those, you already know. If you can just imagine how good these taste with those two killer components together, rolled up in a lasagna noodle. And then this is just sort of a quick sauce. It's just a quick marinara sauce. And then we have some almond parm, which is another one of our very favorites that makes everything taste good. Just a little sprinkle of that. And it's also in the basil pesto as an ingredient. So for the basil pesto, where's my notes? I go over this in the meal prep, but you're making like a half recipe of the almond parm. Because I don't know if everybody wants to always make a whole batch of almond parm. I love having it, but like the way we use components in our recipes, we love it. We've already talked about this, but you don't need like this much almond parm, 2 cups of it or whatever it makes for this. You need like 2 tablespoons. But as long as I'm making it, I want to have leftovers. But the thing is that almond flour is not cheap. So it's like if you don't want leftovers, I don't want people to have to make a whole batch. So these are the things that we always work out. And if you meal planners have any suggestions or just you're not going to hurt our feelings. Just let us know. Just say, hey, I don't really want to make a whole thing of almond parm. Can you kind of cut them in half for the recipes? Because they show up in your shopping list.
Just
So
let us know that you don't want the whole recipe, and we'll talk you into making a whole recipe because you're going to want to use it. What are you talking about?
okay, Frank Caruso. Why
Well,
don't you want that in your fridge?
that's something that I always have on hand. And what's great about it, it's just even if you make it with the nuts, it doesn't matter. Nuts, nutritional yeast, spices, it keeps. So
It
it
keeps,
can be there
right.
for a while, whether it's in the fridge. You don't even have to refrigerate it. You could put it in the pantry as
Yeah.
well.
I
But
just want people to have make their own decision on that.
I hear
Maybe
you.
they
I hear
don't
you.
want it. That's why I was always cutting them. I'm always cutting them in half because if I know there's only 3 tablespoons or 2 tablespoons, I don't want to make people make 2 cups of this stuff.
Right.
But then I always try to put in the notes, hey, if you're making it, this is half the recipe of our almond parm. If you're making it, you might as well go to the site or just double the recipe. It's all in the notes all the time, if I remember.
But it's also, I mean, like that on my avocado toast. I sprinkle it on a bunch in soup. I put it on a bunch of
Salad.
stuff as well, right? Salads. So it's great to have on hand because if I'm having soup and then it's like already like, oh, we don't have any almond parm. It's like, do I want to make it now? The soup's on the table, it's ready to go. When it's there, it's like, all right, it's already here in the fridge. I just pull it out. So a lot of times I don't even think about it. And then if I'm cooking and I need it, it's there as well. So like if it goes in a sauce or it goes into something, it's just
Yeah.
done, and then I sprinkle it on top. If I'm using it in the sauce, typically I'm going to sprinkle it on top as well.
Yeah, always. Yeah, and I just use it all week long. I mean, I always make the Caesar vinaigrette. That's one of my one of my favorite salad dressings. And that you put like a couple teaspoons or tablespoons in the dressing, and then I always shake the container all over my salad. And then like tonight we're making pizza. I always have it on my pizza. It's just like so nice to have it already made in the fridge.
Right.
So for us, this is just a staple that we always have. Just like growing up, we always had Romano cheese. We didn't have Parmesan. We always had Romano. And so my mom always had a big block of cheese in the fridge and we would grate it ourselves. So it's like we just always had that cheese on hand. So I think that's why maybe not everybody is like us, but we always have a sprinkling cheese around.
We always had that cheese on hand, and we always had that cheese on our hand.
That's for sure.
That big block.
No wonder we smelled like stinky cheese all the time.
Cheese hand.
Yuck. Okay, so yeah, the almond parm is an ingredient in the basil pesto, and that is the pesto that I worked on all last summer or the summer before, whenever it was. I finally got it to taste great without oil. And then the tofu ricotta is killer, and the marinara. This isn't the quickest marinara, but it's pretty quick. It just takes 30 minutes to simmer on the stove because that makes it really nice and I don't know it's like it's just like the tomatoes cook, it gets a little bit thicker, it's just nice. You cook out that acidity a little bit in the tomatoes.
Yeah, these things are awesome.
They're awesome.
Our brother gobbled them down, and then he took them home. He took 3 home, 3.5. There was like a half of one, so he took 3.5 home. He's like, I gave that I told my neighbor I made them, so I gave her that half. And I'm like, you gave her half the
half of one? Who ate the other half?
I want to give her all. It's like what a weird thing to give somebody.
She must be a little closer than a neighbor. Half eaten. Pesto roll.
He's like, I didn't want to give up a full one though. He's like, she just wanted to taste it. But they loved it. He loved them because he loved the lasagna originally. And I said, okay, I'm going to make kind of a spin on the lasagna. He didn't really know what pesto. He's like, I don't even know what pesto is. I said, you'll love it. Don't worry about it.
Kind of an Italian, is he? No, we didn't really grow up eating pesto. Mom never really made it.
Yeah, there was not a lot of pesto. I mean, I don't even remember it being was it even around? When was pesto?
I don't even know. I should have researched that. Why didn't I write that in the recipe? I usually research things. Oh, this one's been around for a while. Maybe I did.
Yeah, my wife loves pesto. She loves like pesto on her pizza. She likes pesto spreads. She loves pesto. So yeah, these were great.
Me too.
She loved them.
I guess let's think about the only tips I want to say for these is the noodles have to be al dente, which is a little bit firm. So there's that fine balance with al dente where you have to kind of watch it because you don't want them too hard and you don't want them falling apart. You want them just a little bit al dente, but you want to be able to roll them. That's the trick because lasagna, you don't roll, you just flay them flat. But here you have to have them just bendy enough that you can roll them. And they're, steaming hot. So you have to be careful when you test them with these big sheets. So I use tongs to pull one out, and then I just kind of carefully try to either rip a piece off and bite it or bend it.
Well, you know what I did
You
was
do.
I made an extra noodle, and then I just test that one. So I'll rip a piece off and test it and drop
Smart.
that noodle back in. Just because, yeah, when with pasta you can just take a noodle out and eat it, and it's
Yeah.
fine. With the lasagna, it's like I don't want to bite into like one full noodle. Like how would I? Then I'm going to be one
Right.
noodle short. So I made an extra noodle.
That's smart. Okay. Good idea. And then the other thing is don't overstuff them. You want to pat them dry so you can actually spread on the ragout first. So pat them dry and then do like a light spreading, just like if you were going to put cream cheese on a bagel or cashew cream cheese, spread it on like that. Is that how you do it?
Yeah, I did it as well. Yeah. So yeah,
You can make them thick. You can roll them. They still will roll. It's just not pleasant to have a whole, that's a lot of cheese. If you don't, you want a nice layer of cheese and a nice layer of pesto, not too much.
Yeah, I did I just did. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can't even take it's hard it doesn't spread perfectly even. So I just kind of dropped a few on and then just pressed them down as I went. The first one was too thick and I had to redo it because I put way too much on.
Yeah.
If you do that as well, you're gonna run out, so that's another problem. So it's just getting that fine balance. And it might take a couple. We never made rolls. I never made them. So just getting used to, having to do it that way.
Maybe lay out all the noodles and then do all your cheese first, because then you can spread it out. Just a thought. So you don't run out. But yeah, just, a nice layer, but not too much. And then a nice layer of the basil pesto. And dig into deliciousness. And there's a couple of components, because again, we're making everything. So you can get make the basil pesto and the tofu ragout early, and the marinara. You can make it all early and then just roll it all up. In fact, that's what I would do, because it's a lot of work if you're doing it all in one night. I mean, if it's a Sunday dinner, we all do that, right? We all cook all day on Sundays anyway. But
when I made that last batch I made for or whatever it was, that previous Sunday before the launch, I had made a double recipe of the ragout, and I used half and I froze half, so I had one full portion. It freezes great. I got to say, I don't know why, because if you freeze a block of tofu and then thaw it and use it, it changes its consistency.
It does, yeah.
So I don't know if it's what I mixed in it or the fact that it was mixed. I'm not sure.
I think so. Maybe.
But it doesn't change the consistency of these. It comes out perfect.
Does it really? That's so good to know. People always ask about freezing.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So and I've done it at least 3 times or 4 times now, just to make sure, and comes out great every single time. So I don't know why.
That is so great to know.
It doesn't change the consistency.
I know, because you're right. Tofu does, for sure.
Very much.
Well, I kind of like it for certain things, because it gets real. I don't know. It's very texturized.
I made crumbles with it. It does not work out well.
No, not for crumbles.
No. They get like super hard and crunchy on every piece, which is not good. But
certain things, yeah. Okay, that's really good to know. Because why wouldn't you make a double batch? You're already making it.
Right. I always do. And after I froze the first one, I'm like, okay, now I'll always make a double batch, because it is great to have on hand. Because again, like if I had that done already, it's like, holy cow, it's just a matter of boiling noodles and whipping up a quick marinara and dinner's done. And now I have like lasagna rolls or even a lasagna,
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just throw scoops of it. I tried to do that and I didn't want to give anything away. A long time ago, we had that. It's like spinach and ragout and noodles and garlic.
Oh, yum.
I tried it with this, but it doesn't stay together like ragout does. There's not clumps of it, just kind of breaks apart. But
we had that at the Cousins restaurant. I remember that.
Yeah, Cousins.
That was so good.
Yeah. So I tried to do it, but it was delicious, but it was, it just breaks apart. But anyway. So it's always good to have an extra recipe on hand just to use in a pinch.
And look how pretty they look. I mean, they're so pretty. It's just such a nice Sunday dinner.
Yeah, they're cool. Even when they were cooking, like I set them up. Did you cook them sideways or you stand them up?
I did them both ways. I've done them both ways.
Okay,
I kind of like them. They look pretty like that, but I don't know. I just kind of like putting them right in the pan, because I didn't have a pan that was like perfectly holding them in, so that I was afraid they were going to wobble around, and I'm just like, I'm just putting them on their sides.
Yeah, I use that round one, and they like 9 fits perfectly in that thing. So, yeah, look cool.
I don't have that round one. I need one.
You need the round one.
I do need a round one. Okay, that's good for that one. And now we have our cheesy stuffed peppers.
I'll
just start talking about them anyway. Okay, everybody, these are killer. They're so good. I just can't get over. Go ahead.
I'm gonna break away for a second.
I just can't get over how good these peppers are. So I loved stuffed peppers that my mom made when we were growing up. Phil did not like the peppers so much. He liked the stuffing, which is, I guess it was ground beef and onions, maybe. I don't know about onions. Oh, there they are. Very rustic looking. Rice. I think it was just like rice and ground beef. I don't know.
I think that's exactly what it was. Rice, ground. I think there was onions in it.
Very simple.
Yeah.
But okay, so we make our beefy crumbles to give it that nice texture, and then the cheesy provolone sauce with brown rice, and that's it. We just mix all that together. Oh, we put a little the mushroom powder, the dried mushroom powder in it for that umami delicious flavor. But that cheesy provolone sauce just ties it all together in such a nice way. I can't even explain it. It's almost like it doesn't even taste like a cheese sauce anymore. It's like just especially with the mushroom powder, it's just kind of like a nice gravy that ties it all together. And then those peppers, I don't know if I just had the sweetest peppers in the world, but I was just like, this combination is so good.
Yeah, I never liked the peppers growing up. Now I love them mixed in. And like when I'm like the leftovers or whatever, I just cut everything into bits. So it's all
yum.
Incorporated together. But yeah.
You always gave me your peppers when you were little. He wouldn't eat the peppers. I would collect his peppers because I love the peppers. I still do. But now, yeah, I know. It's so good all together. It's just really, really good. And this is like a really simple red sauce. It's not like you don't mince the garlic, you don't cut any onions up or anything like that, because you don't really need it. The pepper is like the main thing here, but the sauce just adds that something. It's delicious with the sauce, but it's just a quick sauce. And then the cheesy sauce on the inside, we do use the whole recipe because it's kind of like an in-between thing. Like we're using a cup of it, but I add this in the notes, you make a whole recipe of the cheesy provolone sauce, but we only use a cup, and you'll probably have a cup left over. Again, it's just kind of nice to have that. You could spread it on toast. If you have like garlic bread with this, you could spread it on your garlic bread and eat that on the side. You could just use it in pasta later. Like that's another thing I just like having in the fridge. But you could also add more to your stuffing. I think Phil added some more to his. I thought that 1 cup is like a really nice balance with the crumbles and the rice. I thought 1 cup was perfect, but just eyeball it and taste it. You might want to add it. Maybe want it a little more cheesy, or you could even, after you stuff them, you could put like a cheesy topping on before you put the tomato or the red sauce. Just play around with it. It'll be delicious anyway. I mean, these are so good. And then that mushroom. Don't put any mustard in these. That's not the right thing. The mushroom powder. It's just such a great idea. It's Phil's idea just to throw that in for like another little depth of flavor. It's so good. And I'm not even sure if you can buy that already ground, but just buy a few.
I don't think you can.
I haven't seen it. We've had this in other recipes. You can just buy the dried mushrooms.
I mentioned that I got those mushrooms at Costco. They were like, I think, again, I should ask my wife now. I think it was like $12, and it comes with a huge jar of dried mushrooms. Yeah, so it's like I just looked at the store, so they had the dried mushrooms. They're like $5 for a tiny bag. So I'm like, geez, for 2 of those tiny bags, I got a huge thing now. Yeah, they're great. So I just crush them up in a mortar and pestle. You can put them in a bag and just hit them with a spoon, or even just crush them in a bag. That's what I used to do. But,
any which way, just crush them down.
a lot of times I'll throw that in if I'm making stuff with mushrooms, just a little, because
Mhm.
again, like I buy like it's like a wild mushroom blend and it has like black trumpet mushrooms and, cremini mushrooms and whatever. It's got like 3 or 4 or 5 different kinds of mushrooms. So it has a little bit different of a taste, like woody and smoky. And, so it's like, oh, it's just a good flavor to add into things, certain things, I should say.
It is really good. It does really enhance these peppers. It's just so good. And Mom never used to put cheese in them.
No, no,
We
no.
never had cheese, but it is, trust us, it's so good in these. These
Yeah.
are really good. These are like one of my favorites of all of our meals so far.
How about that?
I know, really, they are. I was just gonna remind people of how you cut your pepper. I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess everybody cuts a pepper like this. I don't know why you just amazed me when you cut the pepper this way that one time when he just cuts the top off, and then when you turn it on the side with a little paring knife, you just kind of like go like this and that whole center pops out.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess how else would you do it when you're leaving the whole pepper? That's how you
Yeah.
have to cut them, I guess. It comes
Well,
out so nice.
I cut the ones at your house, but I cut the bottom off too, which is not for these. I was just we were like slicing peppers or whatever.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So
You
for
do it
these,
like
I
that.
would actually cut a little different. I would hold the pepper straight and cut like a pumpkin almost, and then pull the core out as opposed to. I
Oh,
guess
fancy.
it's the same thing. I guess it's the same thing. But you're just not sliding the knife into the pepper so much. Like there, I was sliding it all the way through. I'll do
Well,
a
for
little demo of that one day.
one test of these peppers, I remember I cut the pepper. I was thinking I'll cut the pepper in half because I think they're cute.
Oh,
They're cute when you cut the stem in half, and so they have like little hats.
wow.
Yeah, so I did half peppers, and then I was like, no, I like them. I like them the way Mom always did them. I like having a. There's something really nice about having a whole pepper on your plate.
But did it stay like in a cup? I would assume it
Oh
would just.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
no, no,
I would
no, it
assume it
totally
would like
stays.
when it heated up, it would
No,
like flatten out.
we have those other peppers on our site too, the Mediterranean. Those are
Yeah,
really, really, really good. That's how we cut those. You just cut it like straight through the stem. Yeah, and then you just scrape out the center. It is like a hollowed out little cup.
yeah. I mean, I always cook them like this. I always
These are
cut the stem,
cuter. Yeah, I like these just because it's just, I guess, nostalgic for me. What else do we want to say about these? Oh, yeah, and for these, you can definitely make the beef style crumbles ahead of time. You can make your red sauce ahead of time if you want. Like I said, it's just a really simple sauce. It just takes minutes to make, but it will save you some time. But I wouldn't make the cheesy provolone sauce ahead of time because you want that nice and smooth and warm. So you got your crumbles and your rice in the bowl, and then you just make the cheese sauce and put it in right away, and it mixes up really well. You know how this cheese, if you've made some of these cheeses before, they tend to coagulate or get a little bit rubbery when they sit around, which you just heat them right back up and they're fine. But the best would be to do it right before, I think. And then you can make your own rice, or you could use frozen if you want to speed things up, frozen and thawed, if you would like. That's all I have on that one. I can't wait for people to make it.
I can't. I don't know why this thing's not moving. It's crazy. Oh well, we'll just do it this way. There we go.
Woo!
Stuffed
Okay.
artichokes.
Now, is this a dish that everybody grew up eating, or is it just us Italians?
Well, I mean, I've seen this at restaurants, so I assume. I mean, there's some things that we used to eat that like my friends would be
Yeah.
like, "What is that?" Like eggplant, and to us that was so normal, and to like
Yeah.
other friends, it would always be like, "How do you eat eggplant? Like, what is eggplant? Like, how would you eat that?" These were I don't remember any friends ever eating them or having them, but like
Me
I remember
either.
seeing them in restaurants and stuff. So I knew they were at least. I guess eggplant is also in restaurants. I guess Italian restaurants. Italian restaurants. What am I talking about? All right, never mind. They're not very nice.
Well, I don't know. We just, maybe everybody's like this. We always think some things are just specific to our childhood. Like I just felt like these were ours, like because none of my friends had ever made these. They never had them. So I thought like, oh, this is a family dish. But then you see them on restaurant menus, and yeah, it's not just our family. If you Google these, yeah, you'll see a 1,000 restaurants. I must be tired. Recipes for, I guess they call it like Italian style
Right.
artichokes. Yeah. But this breading was the breading that we always breaded everything with. It always, but not this, because we changed ours up a little bit, our version. But my mom always did the Italian breadcrumbs. I think that's what they were called, right? But just like white breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
I thought hers were called
I think
Italian
they were just called
style.
plain breadcrumbs.
Oh, maybe it was plain. I got Italian on my brain.
They
Plain
weren't,
breadcrumbs.
yeah, because they weren't panko and they didn't have anything in them. Like there was no,
Mm-mm.
they didn't have like parsley or whatever in them. There's nothing in them, no garlic or spices. I mean, when you buy them.
Mom said she used granulated garlic in hers. I asked her the other day.
Yeah,
I told her these were coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
Did you know that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just changed ours up a little bit. So my mom would use regular Romano cheese, and she would use a little drizzle of olive oil. Well, yeah, the granulated garlic. So we just changed ours up again a little bit, and we use the almond parm because that gives it a little bit of oil, like an oily consistency, that nut oil. Because, that's why we use nuts, because we give it that nice, I guess, oily kind of consistency that we like. It just adds a little something. And that almond parm, it just adds that really nice little taste that you want. But everything else is pretty much the same. Go ahead.
So well, a few things about these. So one, when you eat, if you're not familiar with artichoke, so there's two things you need to eat. Is one, you pluck the leaves off, so you pull a leaf out and it has the breading kind of in the scoop, and then the meat of the artichoke is kind of really at the base, so you're holding the tip of the leaf and then you're kind of scraping it all the way through. So that's how you're eating them as you get down. Well, the best part for me was always the heart. So you get down to the choke, which is the fuzzy little choke that's embedded onto the heart.
It's covering the heart. It's protecting the heart. That little choke.
I gotta say, like at a certain point when I started doing is when you get down to like the center, there's a bunch of leaves where you can just pull like a cap off and just eat all the little bits of end at one shot. And then eventually, if you eat the small ones, you can eat the whole leaf. Like when I was eating the last ones, I was just eating the whole leaves
because they get soft down there.
Yeah, the young leaves are really tender. They're good. And then I feel like I'm getting a little bit more. But when you get down to the heart, so what I always used to do was I'd always like leave breading off. So like I'd take a couple of scoops and I'd always set some breading to the side off of maybe 2 or 3 leaves. Then I'd get down to the choke and I would cut the choke off with a knife, and then you just have the heart, and then I'd reload the breading back into the heart.
Oh my gosh, that is decadent.
Was the best part. I could eat a loaf of artichoke hearts if I could.
Oh, they're so good.
I got to say they are, and there's just, and again, this is, I mean, for as big as they look, and with breading, I mean, when you eat the big ones and you're eating a lot of breading, essentially, it does fill you up. It's not like it's not like a dinner, but it's not like having a quick little appetizer. But yeah, I always wanted more. Like it's like I want more of that heart, man. So when you buy the big ones, those big hearts are, man, they're so good. It's like a snack. It's like a disc in your hand.
Oh, good. I know. You want like a bowl of those things.
Yeah, man. I love artichokes. And like Jude said, I mean, we grew up with these. So, I mean, it's not like Mom was making them every week, but we had these quite a bit. I mean, throughout the year for sure.
We loved them. We just got so excited when we would see them. Like, she's making artichokes. Yeah. And then we all got our own artichokes sitting on our dinner plate, which is always so exciting. Like, I would always want to savor each one,
And the big bowl.
Leaf. Yeah, we had a big bowl for our discard leaves.
The discards in the center.
Like tiddlywinks. Yeah, but so we use I always make my own breadcrumbs. I don't buy breadcrumbs because I have it down now where I just use 4 pieces of Ezekiel bread, makes just a little more than 1 cup. And then if I just take my leftovers and I put it in my storage container. But 4 pieces of Ezekiel bread, and I toast it, and then I just let them sit out for a while until they get hard. Then I rip them up, put them in my food processor, and I blend it all up, and they're perfect. And it's like I just don't buy them because I cannot find 100% whole wheat breadcrumbs with no sugar or added anything, oil. Yeah, I just can't find them. And why buy them when you could just make them and they're so good and they're so fresh?
I hear
You
you.
just have to grind them. You have to make sure they're hard enough, because if you don't toast them and that you don't let them harden enough, then they're a little bit soggy and they're bigger. You can't get them. You need them to harden up so you can really get them finely ground, and then they're perfect. And then
Yeah,
you just always have them.
I just cube it up and I leave it out for like 2 days, and then they're
Yeah.
they're hard. They're hard. You make it small, like like whatever, 1 inch or not even like
Mm-hmm.
half-inch cubes, and just let them sit out. I don't even toast them. I just let it sit out.
Yeah, toasting them is like if you're making them the day of.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
which I usually am. I usually need them right then. But yeah, it's just it's just why buy them with all that stuff added to them? I don't know. I'd rather just make my own and know what's in them. And then, they're almond parm. We use fresh garlic, like I said, and we use fresh parsley and a couple other things. And then the lemon juice at the end. You don't have to do the lemon. We never did,
I
but
don't do
I
that.
love it. I love adding lemon now to things because it doesn't really taste lemony. It really doesn't, because think about it. You just do a quick little sprinkle and then a little sprinkle of salt on top of that. And it's just like a pop, it's like a pop of brightness. That's so good. It's not really lemony, because to me, lemon doesn't really mix, but you'll see. Just try it.
You'll see.
Phil already said, I don't do lemon.
I don't do lemon.
I heard that.
I'm not saying everyone shouldn't. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't tried it with lemon. I would try it if it ever even popped into my brain to do something like it.
Okay, he doesn't use lemon. I do.
Next time I will. Next time
we're gonna have a vote. Who likes it with lemon?
Who likes it my way, the original OG way, or Judy's crazy lemon pop? lemon pop. No,
lemon pop.
I gotta say, I
I
do like lemon, and I'm liking it more and more, because I do put it on more stuff. I do put it on more and more stuff. But sometimes I just don't think to do it. Like my wife will do stuff like that. Like, oh, why don't we put lemon on this? It's like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. But
I just made asparagus last night, and I roasted it in the oven, and a pop of lemon at the end is just so good. And a little sprinkle of salt.
Popping lemons on everything.
I'm popping lemon. I always have a bowl of lemons on my counter. I'm putting lemons in everything. It's just like a breath of fresh air. Okay, any notes on this? Let's see. Oh, okay. So we have in the recipes small to medium artichokes. So if you buy large artichokes, if that's all that you can find, you're going to run out of breading, because it's just enough for small to medium size artichokes, not the giant ones. So if you do make the big ones and you want the big heart at the end, just double the breading recipe, which the breading recipe is simple. It's easy to double. I usually don't like telling people to double certain recipes, because it's like a fourth of this, an eighth of that, 2/3 of this, and that's too much work. I don't want you guys to have to do that math. It's hard enough for us to do it, but this one's easy. I'm going to pull up the recipe.
With these, I'm always at the mercy of whatever's at the store. So it's not like, oh, here's the big artichokes, here's the medium, and the small. It's like, here's the artichokes. Sometimes there's 6, and it's like that's the artichokes. So the last few times I had gone, they're all kind of the same size. They were the medium small. If they were large, I would have gotten the large, because I prefer the large. But but the cook time is adjusted as well. It takes a lot longer to cook the big ones as well, and the breading would run out with this recipe. So you have to.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Is that in the notes as well? I believe that's in the notes.
Yeah, that's in the notes, because the smaller to mediums will cook in about a half hour, but the large will take up to 60 minutes. And the good thing is, I've done it both ways. Well, a million times, but this is the good thing is it doesn't really matter. Like, you're not really overcooking the breading, because they're just steaming. So that 30 minutes isn't going to matter. It's just you need to use tongs, because it's steamy. So be careful. It's a little bit hot. And if you reach in the pot and try to pull out a leaf, if you can't get it out, they're not ready. So then just leave them in there, wait 5-10 more minutes, try it again, and they'll be great. It's just a matter of, them being tender enough. That's all.
So what I do with these two is, so I take the artichoke, I put it to the side and cut the top off, so it's flat right there. And then I turn them upside down on the counter, and I just give them a couple of pounds, and then they really loosen up, so you can spoon the breading in a lot easier. I never thought about that before. I don't know. I probably saw it somewhere. I'm not sure. I'm not inventing this technique.
I think Mom did it, didn't she?
Did she? I don't know.
I don't
remember.
know. I knew about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, it's a good trick because if you don't, it is hard to kind of get the breading in between the leaves. Like that really opens it up. So it's just a lot easier to work with. So
I always feel a little bit bad smashing them though.
not me. I'm gonna eat you in 2 minutes.
just like smashing garlic. I don't know. There's something about it. I'm like, I'm sorry. Smashing the artichoke. Be gentle with them. Don't put all your power into it.
Before you rip them, shove them into your gullet.
No, it just seems like you're smashing them to bits. It does help though.
All right, take this off. Oops, there we go.
And then I think that's another one where we have the almond parm as a half recipe. Yeah. So it's again a half recipe. We put it in the recipe in case you only want what you need for this recipe. You'll still have a little bit left over. So if you want to make the whole recipe for the almond parm just to have leftovers, then skip the one that's in the recipe. Just make, the one on the site. It's all in the notes. It's all in the notes in the recipe and in the meal plan notes. But these are so good as a starter. I mean, it's so much fun and they're delicious. And ever since I made these, Frank's been begging me to make them again. I'm like, enough with the artichokes. No, I didn't make artichokes tonight. He comes home and he's like, artichokes? No artichokes. I got a lot of cooking to do here. I know. I'm going to make them soon. Surprise him.
Yeah.
Anyway, these meals are so good. I know I always say that, but I can't wait to see what you guys think of these meals because they're so good.
Yeah, and they're easy. No one should be feel overwhelmed or anything. Trying new things. Even the lasagna rolls, I had never, like Jude said, we had never made them that way, and it's like they always look so fancy and like, ooh, how do they make them? It's just like it's pretty easy. All you're doing is roll
them up.
It's the portioning. That's where it gets a little crazy. I did just make tamales. I never made tamales before, so I made tamales last night. And same thing. It was just like, how much masa do I use? I'm like, I don't know. So I just wanted to wing it. So I got the husks and I put it out. So I mean, they came out great, but they were a little thick. It's like, okay, so next time, roll them a little thinner. Live and learn. It is what it is. But that's the way it goes sometimes. But you should never.
That's the way it goes in a test kitchen.
Yeah. But being intimidated and making some of these things, even the artichokes, they seem like, it looks like a lot of work, but it's not. It's not.
No,
really
these are easy.
Yeah. So
it's just a little bit of time to get the breading in, but the breading is simple. And the steaming, I mean, you just put them in a pot and they steam themselves. It's easy.
Right.
Yeah, it's easy. Super easy and super delicious. And there's such a what's the word? Not a crowd pleaser, but like they're beautiful to put on a plate. It's like, wow, it's just pretty to look at, I guess. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, you probably could put them out as almost like an hors d'oeuvre. Like if people were just standing around, like I could see people plucking off a leaf and eating it like
yes. I don't know. I think I want my artichoke to myself.
Just pull it off. It's not like you're putting your mouth on the artichoke. It's not like you're taking a chip and putting it back in the dip.
I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe you won't be invited to that party.
I'll stick to the chips and dip at your house.
All righty, well, that's all we got for today. That's the weekly meal plan review. If you want, you can come and check out the meal plan at the site. Let's see, do I have? There it is. You can come and check out, just read more about the weekly meal plan at the website. We put out new meals every Friday. We review them every Friday here live. Don't forget about our podcast that's dropping this Tuesday. It'll be exciting.
If you want to hear all about our backstories, that's where you're going to hear them.
Yeah. We'll be dropping the podcast every Tuesday, and we look forward to everyone being on board for that. So
yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, it'll be great. All righty, everybody, have a great weekend, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye, everybody.